Hi, this is Gina Hardin, and I'm here to share with you another great book I recently read called The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope by Sheriff Richard Mack. And I know I've been going over a lot of books here, and one reason is because Thomas Jefferson said, if a people expect to be ignorant and free, they expect what never was and what will never be. So we need to educate ourselves. We know that literacy is what leads us to liberty. And to be honest with you, I actually don't love reading. But recently, since I've just been hungering for liberty and to know more about the principles of liberty that our nation was founded on, I've just been hungering to read and to study these things. So anyway, in this book, it's amazing. Sheriff Mack talks about the power and authority that your local county sheriff has. And the way he came into prominence was back in 1997, or just before then, when the Brady Bill was introduced. It was actually a gun control measure, and then a law that was passed during the Clinton administration. And he was a sheriff at the time, and he sued the federal government and won. And what happened in the case is the Supreme Court said that it was an unconstitutional bill. And he said the states were not subject to the federal direction, that the federal regulatory agencies could not make laws that local sheriffs had to enforce for them. Justice Scalia said the federal government may not compel the states to enact or enforce a federal regulatory program. Now, how many federal regulatory programs can you think of? Let's think of some of the federal agencies and bureaucracies that have been created. We have the EPA, FCC, OSHA, Department of Education, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, INS, ATF, HUD, SEC, Federal Reserve, DEA, Forest Service, BLM, IRS. How many more can they think of? And the Supreme Court was clear and said that the states were not subject to federal direction, that the federal government may not compel the states to enact or enforce a federal regulatory program. And so James Madison, one of our founding fathers, the fourth president, he said that state legislatures, it is their duty to erect barriers against encroachments of national authority. And so when the federal government begins to encroach on state sovereignty, it's up to state legislators, it's up to county and city officials to resist those. See, tyranny can't exist unless we go along with it. Part of the definition of tyranny is something that's not resisted, unresisted authority. And so it's up to our legislatures to nullify these regulations and say, no, we will not comply with us. But we can't expect our legislators to do that unless we, the people, stand up in one loud voice, and not just to be the loudest voice in the room, but with numbers. That it takes, a crowd of people to stand up and to petition our government and to say, we want you to stand against these federal encroachments and overreach and abuse of our liberties. So Sheriff Mack, he tells us about how he got started in law enforcement, and he didn't really know too much about the Constitution at that time, but every law enforcement officer is required to take an oath to the Constitution to uphold the Constitution. Their oath actually is to the people. You see, he was elected by the people. He wasn't hired, nor could he be fired by the federal government. And so he took an oath to the people to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But what he quickly realized as he wrote tickets and basically did the numbers that were required of him, that he was just a revenue generator, and that he discovered that police departments were just there to collect revenues, to get more police toys, and to justify their existence. That it was really taxation through citation, he says. And so, I've noticed that I use this word tyranny. I've used it in several of my videos. And sometimes you can think, wow, that's kind of, is that too much? Is that just hyperbole to say that we're living in tyranny? But what is the definition of tyranny? Let's talk about that, because part of literacy is really understanding our terms. And things like Twitter and other things, as great and useful as they can be, have dumbed us down. So I don't want the video to get too long, so next time we're gonna continue to discuss what's in this book, and we'll talk about the definition of tyranny. So please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to join me next time right here where liberty grows.